So I wanted to go over the first two reflection questions on this video. This is for activity 3. The first question is asking, what would be another way to calculate total interest rather than just adding up the individual interest amounts? So if you look at column D, all the way in the bottom, or D45, you should see your total interest. My number is 147.33. Okay, my number is 147.33. You probably have different number, but let's just see that if our cells are all formatted the same. Can you just change the principal to maybe 1000 for a second and then change the APR to like 5%? Let's see if you and I have the same thing. Okay, principal should be 1000, APR should be 5%, just to check if you and I have the same formula. With $1,000 principal and 5% APR, all of us should have $563.94. If you don't have that, then something went wrong, okay? But how did they find this number, okay? But, let me go back to my original numbers, okay? How did they find this gray number, okay? They just added up the interest from all 36 quarters, okay? So they added up numbers from D9, D10, D11, D12. So what they're asking is there another way to calculate the total interest instead of just adding up? And what they did right here is they used the sum function, right? So what's another way to figure out how much money we made? Okay, now listen, let's see if this makes sense. I walked away with how much money? I walked away with 300 and that's my number, right? I walked away with $327.33. Is that the amount of money that I put in initially? Okay, that's my ending amount, right? That's my ending amount. E44 is your ending amount, okay? We have different amount, I bet, okay? But if that's my ending amount, but I only invested how much? $180, okay? So if I do E44 minus the original investment of 180, look what happens. I'm subtracting two values. I'm subtracting how much I have after 36 quarters minus how much I originally invested in the beginning, and that gives me $147.33. This is how much I made through this investment. So that's another way to find the total interest earned rather than just adding up the individual interest amount. We can simply subtract the total amount, the ending amount after quarter 36 minus the original principal. And that is how that's another way, that's another way you can find or calculate the total interest. So you can go ahead and talk about that in reflection 1, that you will be subtracting the total amount after 36 quarters minus the original investment. Number 2 is asking you what percentage of balance end of quarter 36 is the interest and what percentage is the principal. Do these percentages change if you modify? Now listen, this has two parts. I'm going to address that first question, okay? So I'm going to talk about that first question first. So what percentage of the balance is the interest and what percentage is the principal? Okay. So take a look at what I'm going to do, okay? I'll just click on a random cell so that I can use this as a calculator. I'm going to type in an equal sign, okay? To find out the percentage, well, how did they word this? Let me see. The percentage of the balance, that is the interest. This is what we're going to do. Divide the total interest. So click on D45 divided by the total amount in E44. The thing is, we're going to get a different number. But as long as you type in equal sign D45 divided by E44, you will get your correct answer. And I'm going to multiply that by 100. Why? Because they want the percentage. Okay? If I hit enter, oh, I don't want I'm sorry. They gave me I don't want to format this into accounting. About 45% of the money I have after 36 quarters It's from interest, okay? Let's figure out the amount, the percentage of this total amount that is the original investment. So this time go back up and click on the principal, 180 for me, but D3, and then come down, divide that D3 by E44, and then don't forget to multiply by 100. Guess what? If interest was 45%, the principal better be 55% because they need to add up to what? 100%, right? Let's see. Enter. So approximately 50%. So if you guys can change this rounding, let me click on this a little bit to round it to a whole number or whole percentage. So interest is 45% for my answer, and principal was 55% for my answer. Okay, so you will get different numbers, okay, because we all work with different APR, but I'm gonna write these numbers on my reflection 2 part 1. I will say 45% of the balance end of quarter number 36 is the interest, and 55% of, oh, sorry, I have a typo, of the balance is the principal. The principal. So my number, this 45, and this 55 will be different. Okay, you will have your own number. Okay, but to get, if you want to know how to find those numbers for the interest, do D45 divided by E44, interest divided by the total, multiply by 100. If you want to find the principal percentage, do D3 divided by E44 and multiply that by 100. They better add up to 100% together, okay? All right, let me go and adjust the next question. Do these percentages change if you modify the principal or APR? I don't know, that's a fun question. Let me go ahead and try this out. So let me go ahead and first change the principal, okay? The principal, Noah. All right, I'm gonna keep these numbers here. So this was the interest, and this was the principal. I'm gonna go change the principal first. Okay, what if I change the original investment to, let's say, $1,000? What will happen? It remained the same, 45%, 55%. Let me try one more, a different amount. How about if I invest $2, just $2? Still 45, 55. So when I changed the principal amount, it didn't change the percentage of interest or principal in the total balance. What if I change the APR? Okay, what if I change the APR? What if I go, instead of 6.7%, what if I go to 50%? Oh no, 50% is too high. How about 12%? What will change? If I change the APR to 12%, oh, it definitely changed this, right? So it used to be 45 and 55, but when I changed the interest rate, the APR, I'm going to get more money from interest, right? So 65% interest, 35% principal. If I change the APR to something, let's say horrible, let's say 2%, what will happen to my numbers? Remember, it used to be 45 to 55, right? Oh, now it's down to 16 and 84. So by just changing these numbers in the Excel spreadsheet, you and I were able to see that changing the principal doesn't really change these percentages, but if we modify the APR, it definitely changed the percentages, okay? So that's what you want to talk about for that second part, and I'll let you do the writing, okay? When I read over the reflection question 3, 4, and 5, these are more of what you thought from this exercise, so I will not record those. But I think I'm going to come back and talk about the fourth activity. I think it was on savings plan. I'll go ahead and post something on that very soon too, okay?